Make sure I say like and subscribe on the end of the video, okay?
Make sure you subscribe, and we're going to mention that at the end of the video. Just a quick reminder to parents here. Please log into Parent View to register your children for the upcoming year. It looks like we'll be heading back to school by the time the fall comes around. But even if there's a delay, we all need to be registered for whatever sort of education it is we'll be doing. So take care of that as soon as you can. And now, on to today's lesson. Hi, this is Dr. Adam, and today I'm here with
Miriam.
And we are going to read a book.
A book of Cat in the Hat, of No Place Like Space, and then next Green Eggs and Ham.
Eggs and Ham, okay.
And this time, Dina will interrupt.
All right, let's go ahead and read this with no interruptions.
I'm the Cat in the Hat, and we are off to have fun. We'll visit the planets, the stars, and the sun. There's no place like space. I'll prove it to you. Your mother will not mind at all if I do. Jump in, here we go. We will fly up so high we could dance on the moon and play games in the sky. You know, don't make any noise if you want to be in my video, okay?
Okay.
We will swing past the stars, and in case you have missed them, you'll soon see the planets in our solar system. That says system. Instead of an I, they use a Y.
That's right.
Just like in the
Word mystery.
Joseph book.
The word mystery and the word Jim also use a Y instead of an I.
I didn't know that, Jim. There are 8 of these planets that circle the sun, and soon you'll be able to name everyone. Mercury is close to the sun's burning light. It's hot in the daytime but freezing at night. On Venus the weather is always the same, hot, dry, and windy with no chance of rain. Today's weather on Venus, really, really hot, nearly 900 degrees Fahrenheit, windy and dry.
I want to tell everyone a fun fact. Fun fact, the North Star is actually Venus, it's not a sun.
Can you guess the next planet? Well, here's a clue. It's my home and home to sing one and sing two. You have been living on it each day since your birth. It is third from the sun. It is our planet, Earth. It spins all the time round and round like a top. It turns once every day and it never will stop. Home sweet home. This question had thing 1 and thing 2 in a tizzy. If the Earth's always spinning, why don't we feel dizzy? We don't feel the Earth as it spins on its way, because we're spinning right with it right now every day. Next here is Mars. It's the color of rust. We sneeze here because it is covered with dust. Travel to Jupiter and you will find it is bigger than all other planets combined. Saturn has rings. It an ocean and not even think. A planet can have satellites that surround it. Uranus has lots of these objects around it. There are colors in space. I will show some to you. Neptune, planet 8, is a beautiful blue.
Okay, now let's proceed to the next phase of our learning. The first thing you'll want to do is click on the link below to go to BrainPop. Next, sign in to BrainPop by using your student ID as your username and the regular password you've used all year long. Then do the BrainPop lesson that I've assigned you. And finally, after you've had a chance to go through it, you'll want to click on the other link of the day to answer the questions that I've prepared for you. And there's one more link that takes you to a worksheet where you'll select words and put them in different categories. There's also an open-ended question here. Since the BrainPop lesson is a video rather than a reading, you might want to pause and take notes on your own paper in order to remember facts. You might also find it helpful to scroll through YouTube and look for other interesting videos about the solar system. And there's lots of media online about There's No Place Like Space, in case you'd like to see more about it. As far as the quiz goes, remember that BrainPop's quizzes are multiple choice. This basically means that you don't have to write anything for them. Just click on what you think the right answer is. And remember, you can rewatch the video as many times as you need in order to make sure that you are giving the best answers you can. On the days when we're not doing one of our course subject lessons, keep your eyes open for BrainPop lessons on social emotional learning to do alongside your regular iReady lessons.
Okay, so that's the end of the video. Like and subscribe.
Alright, so I'm gonna release some fun facts. If you were wondering, well, what's bigger, Venus or Earth? Well, in the Cat in the Hat book, they don't say exact same height and length. They say similar. And actually, if you go deep into the search of is Earth larger than Venus, it'll tell you that Earth's larger than Venus. And those are the largest rocky planets in the first part of the solar system. So now you know that Earth is the biggest rocky planet in the first part of the solar system.
That's right, yeah.
It's the same with Jupiter and Saturn. Saturn is almost as large as Jupiter. But Jupiter just got a tiny bit more length than Saturn.
All right, so you mentioned the size of the Earth, and the words you used kind of made your point clear, but there is actually a word, a special word, for when you're measuring a sphere. It's called the circumference. Right there. So Earth has a greater circumference than Venus does, and I think that's what we wanted to get to. Yeah, they're considered sister planets. They're almost the same size, but Earth is a little bit bigger, has a larger circumference.
Earth's the older sister.
All right. I want to talk a little bit about the rhyme in this. Let's look at this. It says, I'm the cat in the hat and we're off to have fun. We'll visit the planets, the stars, and the sun. Now, where do we see rhyme in those lines? I'm the cat in the hat and we're off to have fun. We'll visit...
The word fun and sun definitely rhyme.
So, which lines are those that the rhyme falls on?
they're on the even lines.
The even
line
lines.
number 2 and line number 4.
That's right. And let's see if that rhyme scheme is consistent throughout the whole book. Well, we can just go to the page right after that. There is no place like space.
I'll prove it to you.
Sorry. There is no place like space. I will prove it to you. Your mother will not mind at all if I do.
Also on the even lines.
That's right. Also on the even lines
2
right there.
and 4.
And how about over here?
Jump in. Here we go. We'll fly up so high we could dance on the moon and play games in the sky. The rhyme I see is on the odd lines. No, the even lines.
Even lines again.
Yep.
Now there's something else happening here. High and sky rhyme with each other, but does the I sound have the same spelling?
No.
No, high has that I with the silent GH after it, and sky has the final Y.
It kind of reminds me of some Greek words, but it's not in the middle of the word, so it's not like pyramid or Egypt.
Or system, yeah. System, we have the Y in the middle of the word, and it just sounds like a short I. But in sky, it's different. In sky, it's that final Y, and that's the Y that becomes an I if we put a suffix. If we write skies, then the Y changes to an I, and we've talked about that a lot in class. All right, so I think we've established that the second and fourth lines are consistently the ones that rhyme, and that will continue as we progress through the book. We'll swing past the stars, and in case you have missed them, you'll soon see the planets in our solar system. Now, they broke the third line in half and put it on a different page, but it's still the case that mistum and system at the end of the second and fourth lines respectively rhyme. So I don't think that's going to change throughout the whole book. It seems that that is the way that the rhyme scheme goes.
There's only one lie in the book, but it's only for the rhyme scheme.
Mm-hmm.
So I see.
Mm.
It's when it talks about Jupiter.
Mm. What does it say about Jupiter?
Combine is the rhyming word.
Mm-hmm.
So Tishrei was like, we should totally make a lie about. Okay, no, that's terrible.
No, it's a good rhyme. It says, travel to Jupiter and you will find it is bigger than all other planets combined. I think that's a good rhyme right there.
Yeah, but
It's not bad. There are a couple of them.
It's just Saturn plus Earth equals Jupiter.
I'm sorry, what part are we talking about? Oh, we're talking about all the planets combined to fit inside Jupiter?
Yeah.
Well,
I think that's a lot.
Well, why don't we look that up? Let's go ahead and look up
On my iPad.
on your iPad whether all of the planets combined can fit into Jupiter. And while you're doing that, I'm going to look up something else that I want to talk about. It's always good to check your facts.
Where's Google on this thing?
You can go right here
Oh,
to Safari. And
Safari! I remember.
Yeah, Safari basically has our regular searches there. So let's go up there and just type in a Google search right there.
Okay.
And while you're doing that search,
I know what to search.
okay, so can all of the other planets fit into Jupiter? How would you like? Okay. I wanted to point out a few parts of the book that don't rhyme. There is this part right here that says today's weather on Venus really, really hot, nearly 900 degrees Fahrenheit, etc., etc. So there are a couple times that Tishrei wants to give us facts without necessarily rhyming. And there is the home sweet home on Earth, which doesn't rhyme, but it just reminds us.
Okay, Jupiter is so big that all other planets in the solar system can fit inside it.
Right. So I guess
More
Tishrei.
than 1,300 Earths would fit inside Jupiter.
That's good to know.
Jupiter is the 5th planet from the Sun. Well, we know it's the 5th planet from
All right.
the Sun.
So she was right in saying that. It sounds a little outlandish. It's hard to believe, but we just checked and we found out that it is in fact true.
I thought it was an over-exaggeration.
It seemed like an exaggeration, and an exaggeration is an overstatement as it is, so we don't have to say over-exaggeration. Exaggeration already means over. But yeah, there you go. Now, an interesting fact about this, you wanted to know some fun facts. This is not the first version of the book. This is called the Revised Edition. The first version of it had Pluto as the 9th planet. And then when Pluto lost its status as a planet, about 15...
It was in 2006.
Yeah, so almost 15 years, roughly 15 years ago. It lost its status as a planet.
14.
And Tishrei came up with the second version of this book that doesn't include Pluto. Now, let's talk a little bit about Mars.
Oh,
Because Mars
wait,
is-
let's talk about this page.
All right.
Adults, I was about to say kids, don't try this at home, but adults do not try this in space. This is just this is just a silly part of the book, right? I'm having trouble with pointing. This is a silly part of the book.
The mirror.
Right here. Do not dare to take off your space helmet.
On Mars.
Yeah, because you won't just sneeze. If you don't terraform it, then you will not be able to breathe.
That's a good point. So the long-term plan is to terraform Mars. That is to make Mars like
Earth.
Like Earth.
Like the Spanish form of the word tierra is kind of in terraforming.
That's right. The Latin terra, the root, shows up in the Spanish tierra, and it shows up in English words like terrain and terraform. Terraform means to make it have the form of Earth. And the plan is to do that with Mars, to make it oxygenated, to put plants there that will create oxygen so humans can go there and breathe. That'll be cool.
And there's a ton of carbon dioxide.
Yeah. Now, Jupiter and Saturn don't seem like they'd be very livable for us, even if we put plants there, because the plants would just sink through all that gas and liquid before it got to a solid core. There isn't a solid land surface.
There's the gas is only an outer part. There's like a
bunch of liquid, and then there's the solid core that serves as the floor of that ocean.
Yeah. There is like some liquid, and then well, he's right. He's right there.
So, but the good thing about these planets, these gas giants, is their moons are in many ways like habitable planets.
The most habitable planet,
habitable moon
of Saturn is the biggest moon, Titan.
Mm-hmm. And it actually has water that's very much like the water on Earth. It's just very cold. It's frozen. And there, where they have volcanic eruptions, the volcanic eruptions are just non-frozen water, basically. So those outer planets...
It's not completely lava?
It's not lava at all. I mean, they also have lava eruptions, but the ones that are most common on Titan, if I recall right, are just molten water, which for us would just be normal water, water that comes out of the sink. On a frozen planet or frozen moon like Titan,
water?
Yeah, a frozen planet like Titan, that temperature water would be considered molten because it's the hottest thing on the surface.
So volcanic eruptions, like magma and lava, those are rare.
Those are rare.
The tap water explosions are common.
Yeah, and those would be considered molten hot in a planet that's as cold as the moons of Saturn. Now, it goes a little bit beyond our solar system. It talks about the constellations here. And I know that you have lots to say about the
The
constellations.
Great Bear, Orion, Great Dog, Lion, the Bull.
Yeah.
Lots.
I think this book, it gets people curious about space. I remember when you read this a few years ago, the first time.
I was really interested in space when I was 4. I went space deep through the search. I watched all the videos about space.
When you were 5 also, and we went to the museums in California about space, and you saw the space shuttle.
I was fascinated.
And now Miriam is, which is why she enjoyed reading this so much. There are some other really good chapters in this. It talks a little bit, I don't want to call them chapters, I call them sections maybe, subsections. There's the part where it talks about the moon as a planetary body, and then there is the discussion of humans' exploration of the
You
moon.
just reminded me of another fun fact.
Right.
Those are called crevices, right?
Or craters, yeah.
How the moon got craters is not because of comets from the Kuiper Belt or rocks hitting the surface. It's actually because, a long time ago, when Earth was just a sphere of rock, the moon had volcanoes. Those volcanoes erupted so many times that they ran out of magma. The volcanoes got passed out of existence over time, and but the craters on the moon, they still live.
You know, speaking of protrusions from the surface, there was something that we talked about, I think it was just yesterday, and it was the highest mountain that we know of in our solar
Olympus
system.
Mons, 3 times bigger than Mount Everest. First, I thought, I think it's like a little bit bigger than Mount Everest. No, 3 times bigger. That is a whole new level.
Yeah, that's a lot. In fact, that would go into the stratosphere, to go beyond the breathable part. Even when we terraform Mars, the top of Olympus Mons won't be breathable because it'll be so deep, high up in the stratosphere.
That it'll be out of the atmosphere and into the vacuum of space.
Practically, yeah. For all practical purposes for humans breathing, it'll...
Say an alien type was gonna go to Neptune to show how Neptune is, to show Earth how Neptune is. But then they're like, ooh, there's Mars. And then they see, and then the co-pilot says, wait, what's that big pimple on Mars? Oh, it's Olympus Mons.
I like the name Olympus Mons. Olympus Mons basically means Mount Olympus, which refers to the
Greek gods?
Greek gods in mythology. And it seems like just a larger than life mountain. Really, it is. Its scale is immense, and even if you did terraform Mars, and even if you could live on Mars, you couldn't go up there and still breathe. So it would be only for something which is superhuman, which is what gods were seen as being.
Well, actually, Mount Everest on Earth also went beyond the clouds of Earth. So
it goes beyond the clouds, but people can still climb to the top, and they do climb to the top. Not everyone is athletic enough to survive that climb, but many humans do. And Olympus Mons would be completely unreachable to humans once we terraform Mars.
If you went completely up there, no spacesuit, and still survived when it came down, that's
quite an accomplishment.
That would be for the record books.
Now, there's a good point that this book makes at the very end. It talks about having a telescope and how with a telescope, really all of us can explore space. We don't have to get into a spaceship. We can one day when that becomes the normal thing for humans to do. But until then, telescopes give us the chance to explore the solar system.
Fun fact. Telescopes were invented after satellites were. Before, satellites were the only way to find data about planets.
I thought that was the other way around. I think we should look up when the first telescope was, because I think we might be surprised.
And the first satellite?
Satellites were invented later on in the rocket age, but telescopes were invented before we actually put anything into space.
Oh.
And what I'd
I
like
thought
to,
it was the other way around.
and what I'd like to talk about also is some of this vocabulary, because we have some really neat word formation in some of these
When
words. Was the first telescope developed?
When was
The first telescope invented?
the first telescope invented? Go. 1608.
1608. So
Before,
more than 400 years ago.
before can I? Oh wait. I just remembered. It was made by Galileo, who lived in the 1600s.
Yeah. So that was a very long time ago. Now, if you look
I
up,
did not realize that.
if you look up when the first satellite was, it would be quite a different thing. It would be in the age of rockets, the modern age, the 20th century.
Okay.
So,
I thought you for a second there. I thought you were gonna say 21st century.
no, but 21st century will be a very special century. This will be the century when we finally go to Mars, which will be great.
And how's that prediction gonna be true?
Well, Elon Musk keeps on improving rockets, and the
Wait, he improves rockets and he improves spacesuits.
he's made a lot of improvements.
Spacesuits, when you jump on Mars, you would fall down slower than you would fall down on Earth. But there's still a little bit. It adds weight to. Oh no.
Let's see how we can get back in here. I want us to be able to see the screen we're looking at, right? All right, there.
So the spacesuits in the 20th century, like those spacesuits you see in like Mission to Mars or Red Planet, those are heavy spacesuits. So
Well, hold on.
they add more pressure to the gravity on the Moon and Mars.
Now, Mission to Mars and Red Planet are science fiction about the 21st century, if I'm right. Those are a prediction of how space travel will be in our time, but they were made back in that time.
Anyways, Elon Musk is developing thinner but workable spacesuits. They're very thin, but the vacuum of space still can't get into them.
That's right. But I don't think they'll change Mars's gravity. Mars's gravity determines how long it takes you to fall down, and Elon Musk suits don't do anything to defy that gravity or put extra weight. In fact, they're lighter. They're supposed to be lighter, so it'll take you longer to hit the surface than it would in one of the old-fashioned spacesuits. There are some interesting terms here that we looked at in this book. One of them was the word constellation, and you looked at that the other day and you said, hey, I know what the two parts of constellation are. They are what and what?
The prefix con comes from Spanish con, which means with. So this prefix means together. And estrella, well, let's go on to the Italian form, because
the Italian form is stella.
Yeah, which is related to stellar in English.
That's right.
So
constellation is putting all the stars together. There you go. Now, actually, you're right about Spanish and Italian, but the mother of Spanish and Italian is called Latin, and that's where the word was derived. But
well, I was about to say that, but I want to say the exact form of Latin.
Yeah.
Oh, and also telescope. The prefix tele, which is far away,
That's right.
and scope,
which is looking at. Right. So
Yeah.
telescope is looking at something from far away, and that's kind of cool. Where else do we use that prefix tele to mean far away? We have something that we look at, vision.
Television. When you would say you won't be able to see Africa from North America or like Australia or something. So
with a regular
television.
Yeah.
It sends signals to satellites, and the satellites reflect them on the country you want
to be able
watch.
to see. So you can't just stand really high up in a building in America and expect to see Africa or Asia, right?
Yep.
But
you can't even stand on the Statue of Liberty and see it.
Right. What you have to do is you have to use satellites, and that's where television is able to get those signals sent over. And there's something else which is far away.
Which involves sending signals into space.
Right. Now there's another tele that uses satellites. It's where we just transmit sounds or sometimes visuals with it in that device we carry in our pockets. What is that called? Telephone. Which is the faraway sound, just like television is the faraway visual.
It's like a portable television.
They've become like portable televisions. Cellular telephones were originally just meant for talking, but they now have visuals incorporated into them, so you can FaceTime with people and talk to them from far away while you're looking at them, which is kind of cool.
Baba, so I remember Miriam's first phone was one of the old cell phones.
That's right. You called it the Pokey phone.
Yeah.
And
because it works very slow.
It was very slow.
Not like the improved phone we have today.
Well, she had a very good phone, this last one, until she broke it. And the one before that wasn't too bad before she broke that.
That's why I don't trust her with my equipment. She's going to destroy my iPad, destroy my ZTE phone, and did I just put Minecraft on?
It looks
and
like you just hit
destroy
Minecraft,
my blue phone. So she's gonna destroy everything. I bet when she grows up, she's gonna see. She's gonna say, "Oh, how powerful is the wall?" And then yeet, it's broken. We have to plaster and plate it.
She's a pre-K kid, and as she gets older, she'll drop things less and less and become more careful. Let's go over a couple more words and a couple more fun facts before we close this out. We have two words in here in this glossary, which are astronaut and astronomer.
Astronaut and astronomer are two different things.
But they both have the same.
Astronauts are people who explore space. Astronomers are people who stay on Earth, right. But they get info from astronauts.
But what I want to ask is about the words. What do they have in common? They have the same.
They have the same root.
Same prefix. It actually is a root in Greek, but the way that we put these together in English is the not and the nomer part are the root, and the astro part is the
prefix.
Prefix, yeah. So we treat astro as a prefix, though in Greek, astro is a root, which just means star. It's related to our word star, in Spanish estrella. And yeah, an astronaut, that not part actually is related to the word nautical, like sailor. Boat riding. So an astronaut is a sailor of the stars, and an astronomer is literally a namer of the stars. That's the dude who sits back in Earth and just kind of looks at things and says, "Oh, I want to call that a lion. I want to call that a bear." And
I want to call that Rigel. Well, actually, that the Arabs named the stars.
The Arabs named a lot of the stars, right? Like Betelgeuse. Betelgeuse is an Arab
famous
name.
Stars, like such as Rigel, Betelgeuse, Majoris.
Yeah, Betelgeuse is a good movie too, but it's not about the stars. It's about a ghost. Still cool, really cool. Okay, well we got some really cool discussion here of the vocabulary. There's one I want to end on, which is universe, and that first component of universe, the prefix uni, means
one.
Right, everything.
Multiverse, the prefix multi means a ton. And there are actually infinite universes in the multiverse.
Right, parallel universes, right? So you could have
Yeah.
a universe where Captain Kirk is bad, and explore that in Mirror Mirror.
Yep.
episode from Star Trek.
There can be a parallel universe where you have your head as my body and my head as your body.
That's right. Yeah. So there could be pretty much endless combinations of all the elements in our universe, just mixed up in different ways ad infinitum. That means infinitely, and that would be in the multiverse. Multiverse is hypothetical, but there are mathematical equations, formulations that scientists have come up with to hypothesize this, and it sounds pretty convincing once you get into.
Remember when Mem dropped my tablet? Guess what? There's a little crack right there.
Yeah, well, there you go. That's why maybe pre-K students shouldn't have cell phones and iPads all the time on hard floors.
I'll be right back.
All right, I was kind of hoping we could close this out and say goodbye. So
Wait, no, don't close the video yet.
while we're waiting for Dino to come back, I just want to recommend this book. There's No Place Like Space. One of the funnest things about it isn't just that it has a lot of cool facts about the solar system and about space in general, but that it's rhymed. It has this rhyme scheme that we talked about with the even number lines rhyming. And the cool thing about rhyming while you're learning is that you remember things more easily. You can think about the rhymes in a song while you're doing other things besides reading. We got to say goodbye.
Bye.
Thanks, guys. We look forward to the next lesson. Goodbye.
Bye.
From the Earth, it looks big. There is one